Hi, my name is Alina, and I want to tell a little bit about myself. I have graduated from high school in May of 2020, um, got accepted to university in Boston, Northeastern University, um, specialization of either computer science or bioengineering. I have 2 years to decide, and I was well prepared to go there. I started to get my visa when coronavirus outbreak decided to change my plans a little bit. Um, since I am really into lab work, really want to do something with my hands, apply the knowledge I get in the classroom to my personal projects or the projects given in experimental lab in the university. I decided that taking on the hybrid model of online education wasn't really for me, and I would rather pursue a gap year and start next year from scratch. So here I am right now on my gap year. Um, Super fancy girls who tell you to take a gap year to travel around the world. Um, I just envy them so much because I'm unable to get just a Schengen visa to travel to the nearest countries, not to tell that there are no planes flying around and everything is closed basically. Um, but I still think that gap year is a great opportunity for you. Um, and I can tell you why. So I've decided to take up some courses that just are out there on the internet, which are basically free of charge. Um, some of them are from Coursera, some are from Stevic, some are from MIT Open Courseware. If you heard about it, the MIT Challenge, you might be familiar with that platform. I decided that maybe I could start like building towards my career, towards my resume, towards my LinkedIn account. Um, just from those courses, and I studied. Um, it wasn't like really easy for me because the language I used to study was Russian, and even though I know English pretty well because I got accepted to university, it's still a little bit of a cultural barrier and a little bit of terminology that is usually intuitively guessable. So it doesn't work for me that well. And yeah, so I decided to dive in the the online courses. Then I started to think about how I could reduce the lack of labs in my life. And I just emailed professors from best Moscow universities, just made a list of them, made the same email to all of them, like changing their names when greeting, and just pushed them out. There were about like 40 emails or so with my resume of previous experience and education. So the first ones were emails of hate, which basically told me that you are too immature, too underqualified, and why are you asking us for that? It's just dumb and stupid. Well, okay, just never mind. Uh, and suddenly there were like 5 professors who were really eager to help me learn for free, absolutely free, um, to tell me how to use the lab equipment, to tell me how to properly learn biology of the university level, and some just other tips. Right now, I am on a quarantine of that laboratory because one person got coronavirus there, and everybody's out in their homes. I don't have it right now. Yeah, this is really good news. Um, but still, um, there are really, really not many opportunities that you could pursue right now, and but there are always opportunities that you could pursue. One more thing that you may be interested in if you are on a gap year like me is you could Google it. It's called École 42. Uh, a a French billionaire, um, once decided to take up his partners to form a school, which would be free school where there would be no teachers, there would be no lectures, no specific like there would be deadlines, but there would not be fixed hours when you could come there to study something new. And yeah, so it was called École 42, 42. Uh, and many people started to learn by that method of having a list of programs that they should write. They cannot copy from anywhere, clearly. They need to take up the knowledge from their own, and all the learning is in C, which is not that popular right now because it's kind of hard language to learn and not so useful, but it's really quick because in this language many other languages were actually written. So it's quite fundamental, and such courses as Harvard CS are taught in it. Several years after this school was formed in Lyon, it was formed in Paris, then all around Europe, Berlin, Amsterdam. It came to the Silicon Valley, it came to Ukraine, and many other countries. And lastly, for now, it came to Moscow, where I decided to apply. So I decided to apply to Silicon Valley in January, but there was a lockdown and I also couldn't come there. So I applied to the school in Moscow. The application is quite simple. You just fill in all the data about you. And if you meet all the criteria, you just go in. They're basically not that much. You just need to be under the age of you should be above the age of 18, and in some schools under the age of 30, but in Moscow there is no age requirement, like maximum one. After you submit all the information, you need to take 2 steps which are online. They are called games, where you program your own bot. Just tell them to make some circles that he would do depending on ifs that you input. It's pretty simple, and 4 hours are given to you. There are no minimal requirement of you taking this test, taking this game, but I think you need to have 7 or something. It's not that hard. It just shows that you have neural networks that could help you to program in the future. And after those games, you are invited to so-called piscine. It's French word for a swimming pool. It's called a swimming pool because you are basically thrown out into a pool of knowledge everywhere in the internet, and you need to figure out on your own how you will code, because there are no people to ask, just your peers who are figuring out how to swim on their own. Piscine is 4-week intense training with deadlines each day. Some projects are like 80% of projects are made to be solved only by you. There are 4 projects that are exams, so you cannot use any outsourcing, any information above the one you have in your head. There are 4 projects which are team projects. 3 of them are the ones that you do with 2 other people, and one of them is with 1 more person. Depending on how you did on those projects, if you show the good dynamic of your intellectual growth, like if you earn more points on the exams, if you earn more points on individual projects, and many other things, will show whether you are a good candidate for studying here, because it's clearly just challenging psychologically to be like out there all alone, but still manage to count up towards your career, towards your maybe goal of programming applied to your career. After a year and a half, you're called a middle developer or a middle engineer, depending on what path you choose. And after you finish 3 years of studying there, you will be called a senior, and you will reach the so-called 21st level, which not so many people ever reached. It's quite hard. Yeah, so I think it's quite interesting, maybe not so obvious. So you don't have any standardized testing, anything that will cost you money. You just need to come there, try really, really hard, and whether get in or not get in. One more thing that I could advise you to do on your gap year, depending on only my personal experience, is to study a new language. When I figured out that the lockdown will be for half a year or maybe more, I just started finding some cheap courses on French language. And to my amusement, I found 2 really brilliant students in French, which are from Kazan. They are only on their 3rd year at a university, so they may be not qualified to teach you like C1 level courses, but when you are just studying, it's a perfect way for them to get better in the basics that they've learned yesterday, and you get to kickstart your language. Very cheap, actually, and so it's a win-win situation. I don't know that many words and that much grammar yet, but I still think that if I would have chosen to study online at a university, I wouldn't have such an opportunity to learn a new language for maybe 6 next years. Language, I think, gives you an opportunity to look broader when it comes to traveling, when it comes to living in another country if you work remotely, or if you want to pursue an internship of a company which philosophy is really close to yours. You don't have to break that language barrier. You already know the language. Yeah.